Welcome, dear Taurus, both to those who have been faithfully journeying with this channel and to those who may have stumbled in while sipping your morning coffee and wondering what the universe has up its sleeve. This is Zodiac Talks Tarot, a space where astrology isn't treated like a fortune cookie but rather as an ongoing dialogue between the stars above and the human heart below. I've spent decades studying not only the movements of the heavens but also the intricacies of psychology, social dynamics, and spiritual traditions, and what I've observed is that Taurus often gets typecast as the steady one, the unshakable rock everyone leans on. That's not entirely wrong, but it misses the delicious complexity of who you really are. Beneath the surface of patience and reliability lives a connoisseur of beauty, someone who knows the best blanket texture, the perfect wine pairing, and yes, occasionally indulges in the fine art of professional napping. You guard stability like sacred ground, yet life, cheeky as it is, keeps nudging you toward growth whether you asked for it or not. This week, September 15th through the 21st, the energy surrounding you feels like a carefully choreographed push from the cosmos. The tarot cards drawn, the Knight of Cups, the Hierophant, and the Ace of Pentacles form a trio that speaks to invitations, shared wisdom, and new beginnings. The Knight of Cups, with his charming, almost dreamy energy, is less a knight in shining armor and more like that one friend who insists you leave the house because, trust me, it'll be fun. The Hierophant reminds you that wisdom is rarely built in isolation. It is nurtured in communities, traditions, and conversations that stretch your thinking and keep your spirit humble. And finally, the Ace of Pentacles whispers of a seed of opportunity, practical and real, waiting for you to plant it in fertile soil. The lesson here is simple but profound. Tarot doesn't hand you a finished novel, it offers you a mirror and a pen, asking what kind of story you're willing to write. So, Taurus, as you step into this week, the choice is yours. Will you stay wrapped in your comfort zone, or will you answer the gentle call of connection, wisdom, and opportunity? The Year of Triumph 2025 is still unfolding, and for the chosen ones among you, this week might just be the chapter where your story takes an unexpected but deeply rewarding turn. Let us start with the Knight of Cups, a figure so often misunderstood. People hear the word knight and immediately picture some armored hero charging into battle, sword raised, banners waving, riding into danger with the kind of dramatic soundtrack Hollywood loves. But this knight isn't that sort of character. He doesn't come with clanging steel or fierce declarations. He shows up with a goblet in hand, not a weapon, almost like someone saying, "Here, let's toast to new possibilities." In modern terms, think of him less as a warrior and more as that one friend who insists you attend the dinner party you swore you weren't going to, or the coworker who corners you by the coffee machine and convinces you that yes, the office mixer won't actually kill you. In fact, you might even enjoy yourself. For Taurus, whose natural state often involves being curled up at home with snacks, Netflix, and maybe a beloved weighted blanket, this type of invitation can feel like an outright invasion. Why trade your perfectly orchestrated comfort zone for a night of unpredictable small talk and questionable appetizers? But here is the twist: the Knight of Cups does not come to disrupt your peace, he comes to expand it. These gentle nudges are not distractions from your life, they are catalysts that awaken it. They pull you into spaces where connection can breathe, where laughter chips away at the hard shell of routine, and where the seeds of opportunity are quietly planted in the rich soil of human interaction. From a psychological perspective, this makes perfect sense. Taurus energy, as steady and loyal as it is, has a tendency to overvalue stability. There is a deep comfort in knowing exactly where the couch is, which cabinet holds your favorite mug, and that the fridge light will always flicker on at midnight when you reach for leftovers. Predictability soothes you, like a familiar lullaby. But here's the catch: over time, routine can calcify. It's like wet cement left too long in the sun. What once felt soft and supportive becomes rigid and confining. The Knight of Cups arrives this week as the antidote to that hardening process, reminding you that emotional flexibility is as vital to a flourishing life as physical strength. And here's where my years of observation come in. Time and time again, I've seen Taurus natives who reluctantly accept invitations to things outside their comfort zone, whether it's a poetry reading, a cooking class, or simply coffee with a new acquaintance, walk away with something far richer than they expected. They don't just add another name to their phone contacts. They add another layer to their own identity. They discover that joy, much like wine, tastes better when shared. And yes, even the most grounded bull can benefit from dancing once in a while, even if the steps are clumsy and the rhythm questionable. In fact, sometimes the offbeat moments are the ones that linger longest in the memory, reminding us that life doesn't always need to be polished to be beautiful. Now, let us shift to the Hierophant, another card that carries weight, sometimes even intimidation. For many, the Hierophant conjures images of rigid traditions, stern institutions, and the kind of rules that suffocate freedom. But that interpretation misses the deeper wisdom of this archetype. At its core, the Hierophant is not about dogma, it's about shared meaning. It doesn't ask you what you own or what title you hold, it asks, what do you belong to? Where do you find purpose that stretches beyond yourself? Taurus, I know you like to imagine yourself as a self-sufficient creature, strong enough to stand alone, solid as a mountain. But even mountains belong to ranges, and even trees stand taller in forests. You are not a lone wolf, no matter how much you may like to pretend otherwise. You are an earth sign ruled by Venus, which means your soul thrives in the richness of meaningful bonds. This week, belonging may arrive in unexpected ways. Maybe it will be a meditation circle where you sit cross-legged, skeptical at first, until the quiet seeps in. Maybe it will be a seminar where a new idea rattles your old frameworks. Or maybe it will be something as simple as a late-night conversation with a trusted friend that veers into life's deepest mysteries. Here lies the paradox of Taurus that I've studied for years. You crave the comfort of community but resist surrendering your independence. You want the warmth of the choir but prefer to sing your part on your own terms. And that's perfectly valid. The Hierophant doesn't demand uniformity, it invites harmony. In a choir, each voice is distinct, yet together they create something more powerful than any single note. Belonging, in its truest form, does not erase individuality, it highlights it. From a Buddhist perspective, this lesson echoes the jewel of Sangha, or spiritual community. Even the most disciplined monk needs companions on the path. Why? Because alone, discipline falters. Together, strength multiplies. When storms come, the presence of others is what steadies the heart. And the same is true for you, Taurus. Belonging does not weaken your independence, it reinforces it, providing the scaffolding that allows you to grow taller, stronger, and more resilient. Now, before you start worrying that this is all leading to a cult invitation, let me assure you it's not. Unless, of course, you consider a book club with wine and cheese a cult. In that case, sign me up, because that's exactly the sort of ritual I'm willing to defend as sacred. In truth, the Hierophant invites you to trust that the bonds you form, the rituals you embrace, and the wisdom you share with others do not chain you, they liberate you. Just as the Knight of Cups stretches your emotional muscles, the Hierophant stretches your spiritual ones, asking you to belong not as a way of disappearing, but as a way of discovering more of who you truly are. The Ace of Pentacles is the kind of card that makes a Taurus sit up a little straighter, as if someone just whispered the words free dessert across the room. It is the promise of something tangible, something solid, prosperity, security, or a fresh beginning that carries the scent of possibility. But here's the part most people forget, the ace is not a finished product. It isn't the fully grown oak tree with deep roots, generous shade, and branches heavy with fruit. It is the seed. And a seed on its own, no matter how beautiful or promising, is still just potential. What you choose to do with it, whether you tend it with patience or neglect it until it withers, is what determines the harvest. For some Taurus natives, this seed might arrive as a new job offer, a side project that starts paying real money, or even the realization that the hobby you've been treating as a guilty pleasure has the power to evolve into something more substantial. For others, it could be subtler, a conversation that plants an idea in your mind, or an encounter that shifts your perspective on what is possible. What matters here is not the form the seed takes, but the choice you make in response to it. Psychologically speaking, the Ace of Pentacles highlights the difference between opportunity and action. Opportunity without action is wishful thinking, a pleasant dream that fades with the morning light. Think of that seed sitting on a windowsill. You admire it for a while, maybe even water it once or twice, but eventually you forget, and it dries up. Contrast that with planting it in rich soil, watering it consistently, protecting it from weeds and storms. That is how abundance is created, not through one moment of luck, but through the steady commitment Taurus is so well known for. And here is where I cannot resist a bit of humor. If life were a classroom, Taurus would be the student with color-coded notes, snacks neatly packed in Tupperware, and a backup pen ready in case one runs dry. You like order, preparation, and systems that make sense. But the Ace of Pentacles does not always arrive labeled and categorized. Sometimes opportunity shows up messy, inconvenient, even irritating. It might look more like someone handing you a packet of seeds without instructions than like a potted plant ready for display. The lesson here is not to dismiss it simply because it isn't packaged neatly. Growth, after all, often requires fresh soil, and fresh soil is rarely tidy. When we look at the bigger picture, when we weave the Knight of Cups, the Hierophant, and the Ace of Pentacles together, a clear narrative emerges. First, the Knight of Cups knocks at your door, coaxing you out of your comfort zone. He invites you into connection, into laughter, into shared experience. Then, the Hierophant reminds you that true wisdom is not hoarded in solitude but cultivated within community and tradition, within the bonds of shared purpose. Finally, the Ace of Pentacles arrives with its quiet promise of prosperity, the seed that can grow into abundance precisely because you dared to step out, to learn, and to connect. The story is elegant in its simplicity. Connection leads to wisdom, wisdom leads to growth, and growth blossoms into abundance. That is the Taurus way when you lean into it, not when you retreat into rigid patterns. And here I must be candid, Taurus is famous for building walls around their castle. The moat is filled, the drawbridge is up, the cat is safe inside, and everything is in its proper place. That fortress has kept you secure, yes, but life does not expand within walls. Life expands when the gates open. This week, the universe is not barging in with chaos or threatening to tear your defenses down. It is knocking softly, offering opportunity wrapped in human connection. The question is, will you answer? And now for the cosmic irony that always seems to follow Taurus. Your reputation precedes you. You are the designated driver of the Zodiac, the one making sure the lights are off, the doors are locked, and no one leaves their shoes on the porch at the cosmic party. There is dignity in that role, but let's admit it, it can be a little dull. This week, however, the universe has other plans. It invites you to laugh louder, to break character, to maybe even brace yourself, be the one who kicks off karaoke night. And if anyone dares to tease you for breaking your reliable image, remind them that even the chosen ones need to have fun. Yes, Taurus, you are among the chosen ones this year. The year of triumph 2025 is not about throwing caution to the wind or taking reckless leaps. It is about learning when to blend tradition with innovation, when to honor your roots while also planting in new soil. That is your superpower, practical wisdom paired with just enough daring to create real triumph. And if that means singing off-key at karaoke night while also planning your next investment strategy, well, who says you can't do both? After all, life is meant to be lived, not just managed. From a psychological perspective, there's something fascinating about the way Taurus relates to comfort. You crave stability, the kind that makes life feel predictable and safe, and there's nothing wrong with that. But social psychology has shown us time and again that growth doesn't happen in isolation. People who engage in community rituals, whether it's a book club, a meditation circle, or even a neighborhood barbecue, tend to be more resilient and adaptable when life throws them a curveball. For Taurus, who sometimes prefers the cozy certainty of staying home with familiar routines, this is your edge of growth. The invitation this week is to test whether you can loosen the grip on your comfort zone long enough to let something new in. Ask yourself some honest questions. Can you listen as deeply as you speak? Can you allow new ideas to challenge your routines without rushing to defend them? And perhaps most importantly, can you trust that spending time with others replenishes you rather than drains you? When you say yes to these questions, you shift from a scarcity mindset thinking that your energy, time, or patience will run out into a growth mindset, where you realize abundance multiplies when it's shared. That's when the Ace of Pentacles, the symbol of opportunity, really blossoms. Not as a solitary pursuit, but as a harvest nurtured in community and shared connection. So, let's tie it all together. The Knight of Cups is knocking on your door, asking you to step into connection and say yes to invitations that promise joy. The Hierophant is reminding you that true wisdom is found in shared traditions and meaningful bonds. And the Ace of Pentacles is offering you a seed, one that can grow into real prosperity if you're willing to plant it and tend to it with patience. This is not the week to hide behind routines or fortify the walls of your personal fortress. This is the week to open the gates, let others in, and allow life to surprise you. Remember, Taurus, you are the fertile earth. But even the richest soil needs the dance of sun, rain, and wind to bring forth new growth. The Year of Triumph 2025 still has your name carved into its foundation, but triumph isn't born from stubborn solitude. It's born when you let yourself be inspired by others, when you share your wisdom and also allow yourself to receive theirs. So my encouragement to you is simple: live a little louder this week. Say yes to the unexpected invitation. Laugh at the silly joke. Let yourself be part of something bigger than your comfort zone. And if this message resonates with you, don't forget to like this video, share it with a friend who needs encouragement, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot. After all, even the most grounded sign deserves to fly once in a while.